So it's 11. You guys ready? Ryan, you ready? Cool. Is there going to be a light that shows me we're live?
Yeah. By the way, JC, you know too, that red light will be where cameras jump in.
Okay.
If you guys just want to keep looking there, I'll be switching in the back.
Is that the camera or is it the one
red
to the right?
The one next to it. You won't see the
Yeah.
one just with the teleprompter.
It's
exactly.
The one. Oh, got it. Okay,
Yep.
see.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yep.
all right.
So the one with the teleprompter is going to be, or that one's going to be your guys' for both of you.
Okay.
And the one with the teleprompter is going to be for that X.
Is the teleprompter the screen?
No, that.
You can't really see because of the dark.
Are we going to use it?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
This is our teleprompter.
Yeah,
This
okay.
is going to be that zoom camera. So
Yep.
this
Yeah,
one,
okay.
whoever's on the X,
Yep.
will be on you.
Okay.
Great.
And this one you can see both of you. So
All right,
you guys
I
can
got
see
it.
right there.
Okay, we're here, ready.
Are we up and live? Just somebody tell me when.
All right, let me know when we're...
Hey, welcome to our launch of our book. It is called Business Wealth Without Risk. I am your host, Roland Frasier, and my
I'm
good
Jay
friend,
Abraham,
co-author and co-host, Jay. Jay, great to have you here this morning.
Great to have you here, and great to have everyone here.
So we've created this this program to give you a really cool look inside the book and what we're doing, and you can see copies of the book as it actually exists right here behind me. So we're gonna jump in and start. We've got a lot of things for you guys to take away from today, and some special surprise bonuses and gifts. Appreciate you being here, and let's hop in. So first, I want to talk about what others are saying about this, and I'm going to let Jay talk a little bit about these three folks, because Jay and I have both been fortunate enough to have a relationship with Tony, but Jay is always at Tony's Platts and other high-end masterminds and things like that. And so Tony was kind enough to write the introduction to this book for us.
Yeah, and I think what's really significant, we're sort of reverse engineering this, but to underscore why this book is so important and the content can be profound for your future, your economic future. Tony doesn't do forwards, and he does do blurbs, and he's very discriminating. He did a five-page, not five-paragraph forward in this, and one of the things he says is he wishes he had known all these methodologies when he was starting. But he is significantly committed to this. He said he wants to start integrating a lot of this belief system in his own mastery, business mastery courses, advance. And this is to him and to me and to Roland something very, very, very important at this stage of your business or your wealth creating, or just your crossroads of what you're going to do with the rest of your economic life. That's good on one. The next one, Damon John, you should all know. If you don't, if you're out of the country, he is a panelist with Shark Tank, and he has been a mentee of mine. He's a colleague and a partner of Roland's. I've had a long relationship with him, a very qualitative man. And I've had the very good fortune not only of mentoring him and some of his colleagues, but of him acknowledging the power, not of how great I am, but of how powerful my methodologies are. He wrote the three-page introduction to the book.
And then last but not least, Gino Wickman. And Gino wrote some fantastic books, probably most well known for the entrepreneurial operating system, which a lot of people use, EOS. And the book Traction.
Yeah.
So he was kind enough as well to write, I think he wrote the preface, is that correct?
He wrote the preface, so we've got three very credible people who will never compromise the integrity of their reputation, their brand, on something that doesn't live up to it, all putting the full force of their credibility on the line. So that's what you read in the very beginning of this 447-page, really mammoth book. Okay.
Awesome. So let's talk about who this is for. So if you own a business and you would like to exponentially grow and scale it, including using acquisitions to do that, then this is for you. Or if you own a business and you'd like to sell it for the highest price possible, meaning that you're thinking about, how do I cash out? How do I exit this thing that I've got? Or maybe, as the subtitle of our book is, you would like to create a lifetime of income and wealth every 3 to 5 years, then this is for you. Now, where we've done this, Jay, do you want to talk a little bit about our experience doing this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we've done this around the world, sometimes in 5, 6 cities in a country: China, Singapore, UK, Italy, Vietnam, all over, but in over 1,000 industries, not businesses, all over the country. About $100 billion of increased revenue, and more importantly, significantly increased profit. Bottom line profit has been created.
Awesome. So here's some things that you're not going to need to do this. If you're thinking, well, my business is going to need a ton of cash to make this happen,
Nope.
We're going to disabuse you of that. You do not need a ton of cash in your business to make this happen, nor do you need a ton of cash flow. You also don't need giant lines of credit. You don't need to have, like, dealing with banks actually at all is not something that we generally talk about, and therefore, you don't need banking contacts and relationships. You don't need to have M&A or mergers and acquisitions or exit experience, and you don't even need to have a big company to start with, although if you do, we can add even more in terms of dollars to those.
Yeah, and also, I mean, one of the things that I've always done for my clients is we do what I call 10x moonshot bottom line growth. We find enormous profit enhancement and profit multiplying methodology that requires zero extra investment or risk.
And let's talk a little bit about what you're going to learn today. So we're going to talk about how you can acquire profitable businesses for little or no cash out of pocket, how you can exponentially grow any business fast. And what does exponential growth mean exactly? What do you think?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, this is linear. This is exponential. I mean, the simplest terms without talking mathematically.
I love it. Okay. And how to sell your business for the highest possible price. So here's the deal. This is not something that we read about or learned from other people or even did 1,000 years ago, and now we're kind of trying to teach it. It's something that we do every single day, and you'll see when we talk about the reasons that we're doing this, why we're doing it. But there's no theory here, none, just reality. Our portfolio, our current portfolio companies span a ton of different industries, including e-learning, retail, manufacturing, e-commerce, software as a service, events, B2B, B2C, consumer packaged goods, all of those things and more. And as Jay mentioned, our clients and our companies have increased by over $100 billion in sales so far, which is, I don't know anybody that's done that I know of.
And the operative word is increase,
Yes.
not just revenue, but the multiplication.
No
but
credit for the existing stuff.
Yeah,
only
yeah,
the
just
growth.
above and beyond.
Yeah. And so our own portfolio last year did $6.3 billion in total sales volume as well across 38 different verticals. 38 different verticals. And the interesting thing there is that all of those companies that are in those verticals were acquired with little or no money out of our own pocket. Also, down at the bottom, you can see there 16 times that I could count, and I only had a chance to go through a few of the companies to do this, but 16 times, I'm sure it's a whole lot more than that, on the Inc. 500 list of fastest growing companies.
And Roland, I think it's important to know that the methodology, the techniques, the strategies that did that, and that all the stories we're going to talk about today all are embodied in the book. They're all explained in the book clearly and actionably.
All right, so let's go. Okay, so this took over 2 years to create. We started talking about this a couple of years ago, really wanted to get it, and we were both a little frustrated. We couldn't get it out any faster, but we wanted it to be as perfect as it could. And between us, I feel like most of this is you. The 90 years of experience combined we have between us. I'm obviously
older, that's what he's saying.
Super young. No, but between us, we have almost a century of experience, and we've worked with over 2 million businesses between the two of us, as we mentioned, in 183 countries, and all of this is combined for you in the new book that we've got that we're releasing today.
And this is from the heart. This is just clinical. It's not arrogant. But in my life, I've had the good fortune of being a critical contributor to Icy Hot, Entrepreneur Magazine, Bulletproof Coffee, the co-CEO of Keller Williams, the founder of Planet Fitness. I can go on and on and on, but this is all coming from real world on the front lines of capitalism. Very successful experience.
Awesome. And the book is Business Wealth Without Risk. Business Wealth Without Risk. Really, how can you create, without any risk, a whole lot of wealth and income in and through the ownership of businesses? So the subtitle again, How to Create a Lifetime of Income and Wealth every 3 to 5 years. Now, there is the elephant in the room anytime that somebody asks you to attend something like this, and that is, do Jay and Roland have something to sell me? Well, yes, we do. We very flagrantly want you to be bought in on investing in and reading the book. And I thought that was a really good thing that Jay brought up. It's like, we don't want you to just buy the book. We want you to consume it. Why is that so important to us?
Well, there's a number of reasons. We'll give to you at the end, but if you're at a point in your life where you're trying to figure out the rest of your life, the options you have are very, very, they're very scary. You can start a business from scratch, but you have a 1 in 20 first year and a 1 in 10 5-year success rate. You can go on with the business you've got, and if you don't know how to do it differently, whether it means grow it, maximize, and blow up the profit, you're going to end up, as Einstein says, you know, that's basically the definition of insanity. You'll never get anything else. And there's so much going on with AI that a lot of people's jobs are going to have to be eliminated. You're either going to have to be retrained or have a better strategy.
Exactly. And as far as anything else goes, you're just going to have to wait and see, okay? But the cool thing is that everybody that stays to the end of this live event today is going to receive a free gift, and the only way to get it is to be here live right now. None of the access to that will be available to anybody that is not here live right now, and stay till the end. And as far as, well, what is the gift worth? Is it worth the investment of my time? I mean, just learning this stuff should be worth more than the investment of your time, but just in case, I'll tell you it is worth more than a Starbucks gift card, and it is less than a Boeing business jet. So we'll give you a nice wide variety of things to think about.
And I would say it's not anything even comparable to what anyone else on any other webinar or launch you've ever participated has had the ability to offer you.
Okay, and I'm getting a message from outside that I can't hear, so I'm going to let you talk a little bit about what we're going to do over the next 80 minutes while I get that.
Great. Okay. We're going to do this very tight.
Okay. So what we have is a surprise guest that popped in.
Oh, great.
Marcus Lemanis from The Prophet has popped in and said that he would like to share a few words with us. So let's bring Marcus on now and see what he has to say.
Sure. I love surprises.
I can't see anything.
Seamless. We're seamless.
Light, so you know.
They're spotlighting it.
Okay, great.
They're putting him on now. This is great. What a surprise.
It's okay.
I'm actually intrigued. Let's see what he says. He's...
There it is.
Okay.
I'm at the grocery store, and I got this message that you guys are launching a new product called You Can Be Rich, but you don't have to work hard. My wife made me come to the grocery store, and I'm working hard as hell. So, first of all, I want to congratulate you guys on the work that you're doing. I just got invited to this event. For some reason, somebody didn't want to invite me early, Roland. I just got invited to this event. And I want to congratulate you guys on continuing to provide a platform for people to learn.
Oh, thank you.
At the end of the day, I know the cover of the book is a tongue-in-cheek. It is a lot of hard work to be successful, and I know both of you know that.
Yeah.
But the key to it is learning and listening to other people. And I think the most important thing, Roland, that you do is you share ideas and you allow other people to share ideas. And that's really the key to a lot of this.
It is.
And so I congratulate you guys on your new book. I would love to get a copy, one that's signed, so I can resell it for more money on Amazon. But I don't know, Roland, if you had any questions for me while I'm out grocery shopping.
No, I just want to thank you so much. And we really appreciate you coming in and saying hi. And we won't keep you from your grocery shopping, but we'll look forward to seeing you again really soon. Thank you.
Awesome. Congratulations, guys.
That's so cool. And a point, if I may, he's right, but there's a positioning shift that I want you to think about. And I've done this all my career. Either you work hard for your career or your business, or you figure out how to get it to work hard for you. There's nothing in between.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're trying to give you the methodology that you can get businesses to work harder and harder for you and give you leverage, but not leverage with dangerous downside, just upside and near infinite leverage, which we'll explain in a minute.
So here's what we're going to do over the next 80 minutes or so. First, we're going to share an insane amount of income increasing, wealth building stuff that you can use now in your business. And also, we're going to ask you to join us in paying it forward by sharing it with other people as well. And our journey together is going to look like this today. First, we're going to talk about how we can acquire businesses. Second, we're going to talk about how can we grow and scale them. And third, we're going to talk about exiting them, which happens to be the 3 parts that we have in our book.
Wow, that's coincidental.
So let's start out. Who here would like to know how to buy unlimited profitable businesses with little or no money out of pocket? That is the question. Awesome. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. And I want to start with both Jay and I sharing with you guys that you don't need money to do this. There are so many things that you can use that are not money to accomplish things that most people only think money can buy for them.
That's right.
And so I'll tell you, like, the way that I learned this, I was 18 years old. I was driving in my father's car, and I looked in the back, and there were 2 programs, and one of them was a book by Robert Allen called Nothing Down.
Right.
And that was basically how to acquire real estate with nothing down. So I read the book, and then I bought my first house using no money. And for anybody that has ever bought a house, especially if you're a kid and you're buying a house, and at the end you come away with a house and you didn't have to pay any money for it, you get that smile on your face that's just like, you know, I just did this. It's amazing. The real estate led to businesses, and the rest is history. Jay and I both used strategies like this to acquire all of the following out of pocket, from businesses to houses to cars to pianos. And Jay, you've got some fun things, like you've got a whole car collection now and a bunch of really cool artwork because of this.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things, by the way, Robert Allen was one of many real estate clients I had. Robert Allen, Albert Lowry, I can go on and on and on. But I've done a lot of experts over my career. But yeah, I've used it to buy or acquire over $150 million of advertising for my clients. I've used it to basically build a $250 million, that's a $250 million seminar business. I've used it to get, I mean, I've owned, Roland probably knows this, 30 or 40 cars in my driveway right now. There's, and this is not arrogant, an AMG 63 my wife has. I've got a Range Rover supercharged. I got an NSX. I got a Porsche. I got a tricked out Maserati. And I paid for one, and the only reason I paid for one is I needed a tax roll the next year. It was the heavy one. But yeah, I mean, my whole belief is your problem is not really a problem, but your problem is the solution to somebody else's bigger problem or opportunity. All you have to do is figure out who they are, what it is, and how to masterfully incentivize them to put the full force of their resources to your advantage. And it's not as hard as you think, because I'm a proven, I've done it over and over and over and over and over again, and we're going to keep doing it over and over, and hopefully we'll get you to.
Exactly. So different sources, by the way, just so you know, peg barter, which is when you're trading something of value that's not cash for something else of value that you would like, at up to $300 billion plus per year. And bartering and consulting for equity, which is a form of barter, are just 2 of over 300 different strategies that we use to acquire and grow businesses to sell. And you can very often, and you'll see in some of the case studies we do, use a single strategy.
Yes.
So it's not like you have to know 300 of them, but we do have quite a few, because the more options you have,
that's right,
that's always going to be better for you. And the good news is that you could use any one of those 300 strategies to acquire your next business, or to acquire a business to tack on to the business that you've got right now.
Because I live in the world of exponentiality, and I teach people how to be exponential entrepreneurs. When you add 1 or 2 more, it's not linear. Everything we're talking about, you don't have to use more than one strategy, but if you use 2 or 3, the results you'll get will be, it'll be asymmetric, meaning it'll be unimaginably greater than if you just use one.
Awesome. Just like we did with Mango Automotive. So we acquired an interest in a multi-location auto repair company that specializes in repairing electric vehicles. We are in the studios right now of Everbowl, which is a healthy craft superfood restaurant chain that has sold over 450 franchises. They were kind enough to let us use their studio today, so thank you, Everbowl. Go try Everbowl. That's my shameless plug for them. We also used it to acquire ownership in a company called Digital Marketer, which is the leading provider of digital marketing training in the country. And also, I have a passion, and this is something that's cool to think about too, is that you can acquire around your passions. So I'm a musician, and I love music, and I love playing music and performing and writing and all of those things. And I was able to acquire an interest in one of the leading online instructional companies called Guitar Mastery Method. Again, no money out of pocket. Also, a business formation company called PCS, Prime Corporate Services, which we've made an arrangement for them, as I mentioned earlier, to provide you guys with a company that you need to start your acquisition journey. And also an ownership interest in the multi-billion-dollar producer Big Block Realty, which has about 1,200 agents and is in the process of franchising and growing, and it itself has been on the Inc. 500 list multiple times.
And I didn't give you these, but I've had the very good fortune also of buying the rights to create, if you think about the tail wagging the dog,
Yeah.
to create ancillary businesses that take advantage of another company's overhead, effort, brand, distribution channel, client.
I think we have a couple of those in here too.
Yeah,
which is
but I
good.
want them to know that
Yeah.
you can do that too. And if they ever sell that business, you basically will get more if you structure it right than they will, because you're adding more EBITDA, more bottom line. It's really pretty cool.
Will you talk about what we've done with a couple of our own clients?
I will. So this is a guy, wasn't my client, but he was somebody that was a client of a friend of mine, and it's pretty incredible. He always loved Porsche automobiles. I love Porsche automobiles. He couldn't even afford one, but he always loved it. A Porsche auto dealership in Northern California became available, and he basically had no money. He couldn't even afford the $1 million down payment, but he wanted to see what it entailed. So he got the offering document, and he's perusing over it and perusing over it. He found one simple insight that a Porsche dealer at the time, I don't know if it's still possible, they could let people drive a brand new Porsche for up to 3,000 miles or 3 months, and as long as it didn't exceed the mileage, they could sell it as new. With that one piece of insight, he got a brainstorm, and he ran ads all over the country that said, drive a brand new Porsche every year for life for a one-time investment of $75,000. And the concept was pure. He'll let you use the Porsche for a period of time. He got a couple hundred people to give him the $75,000. He paid the $1 million. He got $500,000 of working capital, but no payback. He had no interest to pay. He had no dilution. It was a pretty cool concept. Want to do the next one? Okay, this was pretty cool. It's an industrial tire distributor, and he was in trouble and was going out of business because he was a terrible marketer. He didn't know how to sell. He didn't know how to use all the things we talk about, partnerships, strategic alliances, upsell, cross-sell. And there was a man that wanted to buy it, but he didn't have the money. But he went to the tire company and said, if you let this go out, it's a big market, a big wholesale market, a big industrial market, a big consumer market. If you basically fund me for the acquisition, I will basically grow this business many times over. And they not only gave him the initial payment, they let him basically have inventory on a deferred basis because they had a bigger problem than he did. If they lost that position in the market, a competitor would take over, and it was a very strategic area. Next. This is pretty cool. There was a woman who happened to be in the job of doing PR for King's Hawaiian. She was a baker. She loved to bake. She had a fabulous recipe for chocolate chip cookies, but she had no distribution. But she knew King's Hawaiian, and they were very, very specialized bread, but they were into all kinds of grocery high-end stores all over the West Coast. She went to them and said, you don't have a dessert type item. I do. let's put this through your company. Give me basically the use of your brand name. We will create a cool business that is an extension, sort of like I said, you buy the tail wagging the dog. They did. It kicked butt. She also had a deal with the bakery. This is sort of cool, where she got them to bake for her in the beginning and defer the payment because she was able to show she had kings. But she got a deal, I don't know if I told you this, Roland, where if her business to the bakery exceeded 50%, she automatically got equity in the bakery.
You did. I wanted you to share it with them.
Yeah. So what happened was it got so big that Kings bought her out. She kept the bakery. Then later they sold that. So that's that story. I hope I didn't confuse
No, it's
people.
perfect. And then the trucking company.
Yeah, the trucking company was interesting. It was a trucking company that was not making money because there was a lot of accidents, there were a lot of repairs, and the guy basically went into Chapter 11, and one of the guys working there wanted to buy it, but he had no money, and he went to all the independent truck drivers, pardon me, most of whom owned their cabs outright, and he said, look guys, we're in 11. If we go out, you lose your gig, because they were captive. They were just working for that. But if you each want to put in some money and be an owner and be motivated to be more efficient, to take better care of your car, to reduce the repairs and get more efficiency, you'll get a pro rata of the profit. And when we become successful, we'll be able to sell it or do a flip. And they did.
Love that. Love that. So there's 3 crises that are really creating a lot of this opportunity that exists right now, and they're likely to continue on for quite a while. Baby boomers are aging out, right? A lot of baby boomers are ready to retire and leave their businesses, and in fact, there's 12 million of them with businesses that are worth about $10 trillion.
With a T.
With a T,
yes.
That are going to transition over the next 10 years. And right on the cusp of that, there are 43 million Gen X people who also have an equal number of businesses. So this is not like something that's going to go away. I mean, if you were saying, oh, it's only going to be good for 10 years, you'd be like, well, man, if I could do anything for 10 years that was kind of a proven success thing, I would keep doing it. But it's likely to go well beyond that.
And may I just blow people's mind?
Of course.
But you have 3 more factors. You've got the ability to consult for equity. It's another dimension. You got the ability to buy, as I said, the ancillary, the tail wagging the dog.
Yeah.
And you got the ability to buy rights to something, which I'll get into later. So it actually multiplies those numbers to an outrageously, almost an incalculable.
Yeah. I'm really glad you said that, because you can also acquire assets. You don't just have to acquire businesses as entire units. You can acquire parts of them. You can acquire intellectual property or any of the different asset classes that exist.
Just to blow your mind. So I've had clients that had a process that was quite profound. For example, a car wash that had a methodology for upgrading the number of people that took the $29 service upgrade, the high end, but they were only appealing to people for a 3-mile radius. Somebody got the rights to that and went to 2,000 other car washes and charged them $100 a month to use it. The car wash that developed it was making $20,000 approximately extra a month themselves. The guy that got the rights, basically, he was making literally, I'm going to tell you one more that's hilarious.
Yeah.
He was making 200 grand. This was the best one. A friend of mine who had no business but had a business mentality came to Los Angeles and looking for arbitrage. Same thing.
Yep.
This is years ago, true story. He saw that the Rose Bowl, where everybody plays football, had this massive parking, and it was only used for the Rose Bowl and all the UCLA games, and almost every, not every, there were a few not, almost every weekend it was empty. He went to the county that owned it. He got the rights to do flea markets all the days that it wasn't being used. He gave them a royalty, and he had one little thing. It was assignable.
Okay.
He didn't know anything about flea markets, but he found the #1 flea market management company. He got them to give him $1 million up front and a royalty, and he just flipped it to them, and I have many like that.
I love that. I love that. The second crisis we want to talk about is market inefficiency. So only 20% in the United States and 10% internationally of businesses that go to market actually end up selling. That means that of all of the businesses that want to sell, that take the time to get listed, that take the time to get a broker or an investment banker, that get represented, only about 20% in the United States and 10% internationally ever end up selling, which means there's a tremendous inefficiency in that market, and the 80 to 90% of people who wanted to sell but can't, they're people we can buy businesses from. The third crisis is kind of a combination. It's economic on two fronts. One is a more global front, and the second is a more personal front. But the global is that economic crises happen every few years right now. If you look over the last 90 years, for example, the 70 years before the most recent 20, there were only 6 crashes. But in the last 20 years, there have been 7. And if you do the math there, that's one a little bit less frequently than every 3 years. So these cycles are happening where you can buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high.
Yeah, and I've been doing this a long time. I've basically advised clients over about, I can't remember if it was 8 or 10 cycles. And we also wrote a really interesting book that we sold out the first printing at $1,000 a copy, $1,000. It was called Recession Proofing Your Business, and it was very comprehensive. It took all the different issues you had to know, all the problems you could take advantage of and turn into opportunities. And we're going to tell you how you get a copy of it gratis later.
Absolutely. So, and that might be why there's so much volatility. Maybe that's why up to 90% of businesses ultimately fail. But here's an interesting thing. 90% of businesses that are older than 10 years, that have been around longer, succeed. So there's also personal crises that are going on. There's 600,000 almost businesses every single year in the United States alone that simply close their doors. And there's a lot of reasons for it. It might be money, retirement, relocation, burnout, partner problems, shiny object syndrome, which Jay and I both suffer from, divorce, death, a whole bunch of different reasons. We call those motivated sellers. So there are people that are experiencing all of these things. There are people that are experiencing the ups and downs of the economy that they don't want to deal with. And there are people who have basically tried to list their company for sale and been unable to do that. All of those people are people that we can acquire from full businesses or parts of businesses and business assets to grow.
And I'm going back to this a little more. It's not sophisticated. It's really just a really cool way of looking at something. Sometimes a business, product, or service that doesn't seem very desirable can be unbelievably valuable when attached to another business. It can be an add-on that gives you an enormously increased profit every time you sell it. It can be a lead generating, like a self-liquidating. It can be something you add to extend what's called the lifetime value. So there's some really cool ways of seeing something no one else wants and turning it into something very desirable.
100%. And when you're thinking about this, when you're thinking about, well, why would I buy a business? Because I already have a business and I could just start up another one. I could even start up that business from in-house. But here's the thing, that there's less risk. There's a whole lot more ways to finance an acquisition than there is an in-house thing, or just going out to start one from scratch, God forbid, right? You already have built-in brand recognition, cash flow, profits, customers, employees, contacts, systems. All of those things are already present when you buy a business. And as we mentioned, the market of businesses to acquire is huge. As a matter of fact, in the United States, Canada, Europe, and Australia, there's about 57 million SMBs, which are small and medium-sized businesses. And if we think about how many there are, there's roughly 57 million total. At any given time, there's about 4.3 million of those that are trying to sell actively by listing. Only about 720,000 of those are actually going to sell. That means we've got 3.6 million businesses. And if you multiply that, thinking that we could buy 2 or 3 types of asset from each one, that's over 10 million acquisition opportunities.
Yeah, and for those of you who already own a business, let me give you another reality check. So if you bring multiple businesses in the same category together, the economies of scale can turn a marginal business into a very profitable one, because you don't need all the same customer service or delivery or whatever. Number 2, the sales force that might bring you a lot more access if you don't have one. Number 3, if you buy companies that have products or services people buy before, during, I'm getting ahead of ourselves, after, even instead. Instead sounds terrible, but a lot of people get leads and they convert a small number, and those people are buying something else from someone else, or people buy one of many products you could buy and they buy the rest from somebody else. There's a myriad of ways you can use this to multiply what we call the sunk cost you already spend on acquiring a buyer or a prospect or a distribution channel, or have a salesperson.
100%. So here's the 5-step plan. The first step is position yourself as an investor. So wherever you are in your business journey, if you are the CEO and owner of $1 billion company or a $100,000 company, the thing that you're going to want to do is to let the world know that you're in the market to potentially acquire businesses
Yes.
to expand, right? Or even if that's something you're looking to start doing, right? So we want to let the world know that. The easiest thing to do is to just let them know publicly wherever you are present. So on your social media profiles, if you look at all of my social media across every single one, it says I'm an investor because I am, right? The second thing that you want to do is you want to protect your credit and your business and personal assets. And so we use something called an SPV, which is a fancy lawyer word that allows lawyers, I'm a recovering attorney, so I can say this, allows us as lawyers to charge
a lot of
a
attorneys.
whole lot more for an SPV than we can for an LLC or a corporation. So that's why we call it that. But it is actually an entity that has limited liability that we're going to use to acquire companies or do deals, right? It separates our personal assets and the assets of our business from any liability from the activities that we do. And as a special bonus for all of those of you who are here that stay till the end of the day, we're going to show you how you can get your SPV set up for free, no service costs. That's something we normally charge $2,000 for, along with a consultation about how to use it effectively. That's going to be free to you. All you have to do is cover the government costs of formation. The third step is going to be to source and analyze the deals that you want to require. The very first part of that is deciding how much money you would like to make. That's going to be how much money would you like the company that you're going to acquire or the assets that you're acquiring to be generating. And the formula for how we do this is we have motivated sellers, which we talked about, and off-market deals, meaning deals that are not actively listed for sale, to get the maximum ROI. We talked about why motivated sellers. Off-market deals is because if a deal is listed, the whole objective of an investment banker or a business broker is to create an auction environment where multiple bidders as potential buyers are vying to acquire a company to bid up the price to the highest it can be. That's kind of the opposite of what we want, right? So let's talk about how you can find these. They're available through data sources like ZoomInfo, Sales Navigator, Crunchbase. You can go and look on LinkedIn, on social media, in meetup groups at meetup.com. You can do direct mail campaigns. We do this pretty regularly. You can do email campaigns. We do that regularly. You can send ringless voicemails, which are voicemail messages that you leave in bulk to people that then can ask them if they're interested in selling their business. There's lots of services that we don't own any interest in any of these, by the way. Call Loop, Drop.co, Sly Broadcast that will do that for you. You can listen to Apple Podcasts. Podcasts are great acquisitions, Spotify, etc. You can attend masterminds and networking groups. Those are all ways to do that. And then track your outreach. So this is just a screenshot of a Google Doc where we're reaching out to HVAC companies to acquire and accounting companies. And we're just tracking the number of outreaches that we do, who responds, what the conversion rates are. And here's the cool thing. You can use these acquisitions to solve pretty much any business challenge that you face. If you're looking for more customers, then you can acquire your direct and indirect competitors. Jay talked about a couple of deals like that a minute ago, right? And that's called horizontal integration. This is to increase your market share. So if you want to have literally twice as many customers as you have today, tomorrow, close a deal to acquire a company that has the same number of customers you do. A lot of people forget that that's even a possibility. If you need leads, then you can acquire other people's media, where other people have aggregated the attention and eyeballs of your ideal customer profile. You can acquire capability through acquiring teams or equipment or resources. We've acquired multiple companies just to get a team of salespeople, inside salespeople, outside salespeople, a dealer network, software developers. There's no faster way because we don't know how to build those teams. We don't want to have the trial and error of doing it and spending all the money and waiting 2 years to get it right. We just get one that already works. If we want to increase our average order value, Jay, you talk about this, so I'm going to let you talk a little bit about those BAD products, but it's basically acquiring, again, companies or assets that will add additional products and services to our own that the customers are likely to buy.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, most people aren't trained at the level of profit enhancement we're talking about. And if you think about it, the people you're selling to don't just buy what you sell. They buy things before, they buy things during, they buy things after, They buy things instead. And some of them buy things for a while, and then they buy something else. And I use an example. If you sold a supplement for weight loss, a lot of people will take it for an average of 3 to 4 months, but they don't really change their eating, and they aren't going to lose a lot of weight, so they give up on that, and then they might do another supplement, or they might do a piece of equipment, or they might do a portion control type of food like a Jenny Craig, or they might buy a membership to a gym, or they might do an online or a private trainer, or they might buy recipe books. And they're going to buy them from somebody, but you already have the sunk cost investment in identifying them. That's the biggest expense. You already know
You
who
have
they
zero
are.
customer acquisition costs because you already have the customer.
Yeah. And I want to make a point that I don't think is in here, but it's important for everybody, because Roland is telling you all kinds of things anybody can do. And if you think, I don't know if I can do that, I'm going to tell you about something I've never told you about. I've been working on a document for a year called the Tom Sawyer School of Business. Anybody who's ever read Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain, you remember that Tom Sawyer's grandmother wanted him to whitewash the fence.
Yep.
He didn't want to, so he provided all the kids to do it, and he's sitting smoking his pipe. I actually did that. I'm going to, it's a little bit ADD, but bear with me. When I was 18, I got paid to paint fire hydrants, honest to God, in Indianapolis. I got 50 cents, and I got all the kids in the neighborhood and gave them a quarter and gave them brushes, and they did it for me. But I'm telling you this because if you go,
I did the
I
same
love
thing
this.
with fence post holes.
Yeah, it
You remember
works.
those things that you have to put down?
Yeah.
That is like the worst piece of technology ever to dig a hole.
Yeah, I'm ADD
and
at taking
got
my
a bunch of people
tangents.
to do
This
that
is
too.
great.
It's
Let's
really
talk
funny.
about these. Anyhow, here's what I want you to know. It's the Tom Sawyer School of Business. If you say, well, I can't do these things, there's somebody else who would love to do it for a small piece of your deal or an override. If you go, well, I can't sell. There's salespeople galore that would love to do this and get a piece of the business. I can't manage. There's plenty of people to get it. You can have people do everything and you still get the lion's share. And I actually worked out a document that's going to be printed up in a week, and we can give that to them too.
I love that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty, it explains how to do it.
I like that. And if you're thinking, well, yeah, that works for some people, but not me. I mean, there's a little tiny company called Amazon that does it probably better than anybody with a recommendation engine that says people that bought this thing that you bought also bought this.
Yep.
And people that bought this and this.
tells
Would you
you.
like to buy that as a bundle
Yeah,
right
and it
now?
works.
Right,
It works.
exactly. And so that's to help increase the average order value, which is one of Jay's 3 ways to grow a business, which he'll talk about in a little bit. And the next thing would be acquiring recurring revenue assets that have a continuing payment. And both for AOV and LCV is lifetime customer value, AOV is average order value.
I love acronyms.
For both of those things, one of the easiest things to do is to add a service to a product that you sell that helps people to achieve the use of the product or to use the product faster or in a more automated way or more intently. Or to add services to a product or add product to a service. If you sell a service, can you productize that, or is there a product that would go with it? The next
Roland,
thing,
excuse me.
Yeah.
When you do that and you have recurring predictable revenue, by the way, it multiplies the value of what's called your asset.
It does, which we'll talk about at the end of this.
Yes, sir.
So another thing you can use acquisitions for is to increase your profit margin along the value chain of everything from the inception of the idea of the products and services that your customers are buying all the way to the last product or service that they buy. There are leaks of profitability along the way.
I like that. Leaks of profitability.
And so to plug those leaks, or actually to recognize those leaks, we say that anything that we are offering to the market, there are suppliers that we have and there are distributors that we have. Now, we may say, well, there isn't really one because I'm selling digital marketing services. I'm not a manufacturer. Manufacturing's easy, right? Because it's like, well, the suppliers are the people that make the ingredients or the parts that we do or create our thing that we then sell. And the distributors are easy to identify because they're the wholesalers we give it to sell to the retailers that sell our stuff. But even in a service-based business like a digital marketer, your suppliers might be the call center that you're using to generate leads. It might be the digital marketing agency that you sub out your Google stuff to. It might be the content marketing people that you're hiring to create content for your people. There's a lot of suppliers to any kind of business. And the suppliers, by definition, are up and down the supply and distribution chain.
Yep. Yeah, also, and this is, I'm going to give you a headache. I have many, many experiences where some alternative supplier will give you money to buy an asset as long as they get the fulfillment on it.
Exactly. And then distribution, you may say, well, I've got a digital product that I sell directly to the people that buy it. If you have any affiliates at all, which many of you do, then those people are generally paid 30, 40, 50, 60% or more to get that sale for you to their customers. That's a cost of distribution. So we've gone out and bought affiliates before that we were paying 50% of the gross sales price because they were such great affiliates and captured back all of the profit that was leaking out to those people. And then last but not least, around this list of categories of things to acquire would be innovation type assets. So you can acquire intellectual property, patents, trademarks, logos that have died but have big brand recognition, and on and on and on to build your business. Just to give you a couple very quick examples here, when we were looking to go up market for digital marketing services for digital marketer, we found something called Online Marketing Institute that had a whole list of the big customers, the enterprise type customers that we wanted. So we acquired that and instantly added all of those customers to our digital marketer company. When we wanted in our real estate business to get more leads of real estate agents that we could have working under our real estate brokerage, we bought a Facebook group that had tens of thousands of real estate agents. When we wanted to have a software team that developed software for one of our companies, we bought a company called True Conversion that already had a dev team that was actually located in Pakistan. And so then we instantly had that without having to learn. When we wanted to add additional business services to the services that we were already providing, we acquired an interest in a company that provided business services. That meant we could now offer those services to our existing customers and increase the AOV or average order value. When we wanted in that business to acquire, from that business formation business, to acquire more customers and have more services that were ongoing, because you can form a company once and then you're kind of done, but what do those companies need? They need taxes, they need accounting. So we acquired a tax and accounting firm called Insight to help add additional services. When we were selling pet products, we bought a company called Wego Doggo that was a manufacturer that would manufacture the products, so we had vertical integration, supply and distribution. And when we wanted to start a business that had hundreds of business plans already prepared with the software that went with them, we acquired a company called Business Book Source that had over almost 200 of them, so that we instantly had that all instantly as a result of the acquisitions.
So I'm going to give you a totally non-linear, different path.
I love it.
So I have a client right now, and they are doing a roll-up in logistics. And we've looked at a lot of logistics companies, and some of them have a very, very elevated idea of what their business is worth. But when I looked into it, I saw that a lot of these people that started, they were the salesman or woman when they started.
Right.
Then they got successful. Then they went into the, basically, ivory tower. They went fishing, they travel. And their salespeople are the ones that basically have all the relationships. The owners don't even know about it. And they've never offered the salespeople any equity whatsoever. We would buy the sales force and give them basically the chance to earn phantom equity.
Fantastic. I love that. So then we say, okay, well, now I like the idea, Jay and Roland, of doing that. How do I do that without having to have a bunch of money? That's when we talk about step 4, funding your deals with little or no money out of pocket. And we create this thing called the deal stack. And there are a few different things to think about. There are some negotiations that go on at different times. And I'm going to talk about that first, and then I'm going to share with you some specifics about the deal stack. But we have a couple of things to think about. Are we dealing with a seller or a third party in the negotiation, and this part of the negotiation for this acquisition? And are we doing this before we create a letter of intent or LOI with the seller, or after that? So if it's with the seller and before the LOI, we're really just talking about the terms of the deal and what's going to be included and what's going to be excluded. If we're talking before the LOI with a third party, we're talking about maybe terms of them being involved, favorable terms they're going to give us after the acquisition because they're a supplier or a participant, or maybe we're talking about investments that they might be making in the business. After the LOI is signed with a seller, we're going to go through something called due diligence to be sure everything they said was exactly as they said it was, and we're going to make some adjustments to that. And then with the third parties, we'll probably be negotiating terms and forming new or different relationships. So this is the way we do this. We basically look at what is the ask price for the asset or the company that we're looking to buy, and how do we get it down to zero? The thing in between that is what we call the gap. And there are about 30 different strategies that we use to do this. We don't have time to go in them here. Several of them are discussed in the book, even more in the bonus materials that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But basically, there's 30 of these strategies that will get you through about 80% of the deals that you do, okay? And so we have a worksheet that we work through to see what strategies with what terms will help us do the deal stack in any particular deal. And we call it the deal stack because you can stack. You might only need, as we said earlier, one of the strategies to work, but you might need several. And so all of them are available. We've got almost 300, and they kind of click together like Lego blocks
it's great.
to build the thing that is going to fill the gap between zero and the purchase price. So maybe you use $400,000 to carve out assets you don't want. You have $600,000 that the seller agrees to finance in the deal. Maybe you have an earnout where the seller agrees to take some money later if certain events happen. Maybe you have the seller keep title to the inventory assets that you're buying, and you pay the seller off as you sell the inventory. Or maybe you go to a supplier and the supplier agrees to give you a loan or better terms. Maybe you have accounts receivable in the business that you can sell to a factor, or any other type of tactic. But here's just kind of a sample of 10 things that we've stacked together to be able to afford a $2 million acquisition without having to come out of our pocket.
And Roland,
Yeah.
We're powering through all this. Remember,
That's why we've got this giant, huge
the
book.
book is 447 pages. We wrote it not to tease, because as we'll tell you, our end game is very, 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 it's very credible, but it's also very transparent. We're looking for deal flow, but we want to make sure anybody who is at a crossroads can use this. But if it sounds a little bit, wow, overwhelming, it is not. We break it apart and we really simplify it, clarify it, and give you very, very actionable, easy to understand, and easy for you or anyone you wish to do it with you or for you to do. I want to make that clear because we're powering through.
Love that. And then the last step, 5, is going to be to close your deal, get paid, and build wealth. Giving you a couple examples of a couple deals I did. This is a $400 million service company that I acquired for zero out of pocket. We started with a $10 million valuation, $1 million investment by me to purchase 10%, but I didn't use money. I used a consulting for equity strategy where I would provide services that helped the business in exchange for that 10% interest. And over just the last couple years, that's returned $4 million plus in cash and 39 times increase in the valuation of my $1 million non-cash investment. Another deal is a $16 million media company. Acquired that for zero out of pocket, $3.3 million, doing $16 million in sales. $3.3 million valuation, got 60% seller financing. That was 3 years at 0% interest. Very seldom do I ever have to pay interest. And then 40% from a third-party private money loan, which was also 3 years, interest only at 10%. That returned $11 million in cash and a 61 times valuation increase right off the bat. So our success is proof that we can do this successfully, but obviously the real proof is the fact that we've taught thousands of other people how to do it too. Sam Karamian, who is the founder of Big Block Realty, $75,000 media property acquired for zero out of pocket through a $50,000 18-month sponsorship to somebody that wanted a personal brand to have access to this group as kind of a high-level contributor. Cool. And then another $20,000 as an 18-month sponsorship to a non-competing complementary business. And then last but not least, the person that brought the deal put in the difference. Jim, who I have blurred out because Jim is very shy, has one of the larger deals that have been done for no money out of pocket recently, $98 million service company for zero out. He just did a stock swap. So we basically engineered the acquisition of the other company in exchange for stock in Jim's company. And then one of my business partners, Ryan Dice, acquired $100,000 SaaS company for zero out of pocket. This was a 3-year-old company that was a software as a service business, $100,000 purchase price. $90,000 of that was with a 10-month seller financing at 0% interest, and $10,000 from an email sent to the existing list through something we call a deferred down payment. And on, like Anthony and Jonathan and Matt and Jalitza and JM and Paul, our clients have told us that they've completed over $1 billion in acquisitions to date using our strategies. And we cover all of that in part 1 of the book.
Yeah, and 2 things. We're going both sides of the spectrum, the smaller and the larger, because we want you to know this is universal. It works for any kind of business. It works for anybody who wants to acquire a business. And then when I give you my middle of this, it's going to blow your mind, because you're going to see all kinds of ways, once you get control of it, to just blow up profitability for zero investment and zero risk.
And if you'd like more than the book, without having to pay your dues for 40 years or 40 or so each here, right? Without having staff and contractor expenses of over $30 million to learn all this stuff, without almost a decade of higher education that I invested in, without overpaying for the businesses that you acquire, like both of us have done, without millions of dollars in lost deals because you made mistakes along the way, or over $2 million in training and education, here's what we've got for you. We've got the Business Wealth Without Risk acquisition system. So if you're tired of failing to rapidly grow your business and you're ready to do it immediately, or you've been unable to solve problems like leads, sales, profit margin, innovation, recurring revenue, or sales constraints, and you had no idea how you were going to finally crack the code, or if you're sick of hiring expensive consultants and agencies and others that never deliver on the growth promises they make or the scale promises they make, you don't have the cash, connections, or scale to attract these exclusive white glove investment companies like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan to raise capital, or you're just stuck at 6 figures, 7, 8, even 9 figures. Businesses get stuck. Then this is for you. This is the acquisition mastery system as part of Business Wealth Without Risk. And this is a complete M&A training program. There's hours and hours of training, training on LOIs, letters of intent, NDA, non-disclosure agreements, purchase agreements that are in there, templates for that, our zero out-of-pocket funding strategy breakdown, a database of about 5,000 different buyers and potential sellers of deals. We break down 8 deals for you. There's over 15,000 potential partners that you can access in our community, and there's deal sourcing and seller network membership. This is something that we value at $1,500, okay? So you get the system that we've got for Business Wealth Without Risk, plus the M&A training as well. And now we're going to talk about how to exponentially grow any business really fast. Let's talk about moonshots, Jay.
Yeah, well, first of all, moonshots are of 2 kinds. One is the one everybody talks about, the 10x top line, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it can be very expensive to start with and very difficult if you try to do it yourself. The 10x bottom line is like a no-brainer. It's just making everything you're doing produce more now and in the future. And the good news is almost nobody knows how to do that. I'm not demeaning you if you're profitable. I've had the good fortune of traveling around the world figuratively and literally. I've worked in over 1,000 industries myself. I've seen over 10,000 different ways of doing strategy, business model, marketing, distribution, lead generation, conversion, monetization, extending the value of a buyer, figuring out how to get unsold prospects profitable. And I can tell you that almost no business you ever get control of or own now comes close to maximizing and optimizing the performance of everything you're doing, everywhere you're doing it, everyone you're doing it with, all the money it's spending, all the opportunity cost available, all the assets available, da-da.
And part of this is how you think about things. And we've gone into a lot of depth about mental models for thinking better.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that, kind of how that works?
Yeah, well, the mental
Obviously, they're all in the book. But
yeah, we
just
go into a whole
highlight.
chapter on it. But we're giving you a little bit of a little taste of it when we show you how to think differently, how to see what I call the money connection nobody else does, how to basically see the world as a 3D movie and you have the only pair of glasses. We show you how to not look in terms of linear, the way everybody else goes at it, but to see all the ways nobody goes at it. And we show you how to break out of, they call it the glass ceiling, but I mean, I've seen ways to get control of asset. Roland can show you an innumerable way to fund almost anything. I can promise you that there are infinite number of people willing to put up whatever you think is a resource impairment, whether it's expertise, whether it's distribution, whether it's selling, whether it's marketing, whether it's advertising, whether it's distribution, whether it's offices. Because I've done it around the world. So it's a way of breaking out of this rigidity saying, oh, that sounds cool, but I can't do that. The only reason you can't do it is you don't shift your mental model.
Exactly. And then the third chapter on the business growth, exponential growth part of the book, in part 2, is on optimization with levers and fulcrums. You want to chat a little bit about that? Because I know, and I think it might help them if you share your 3 ways to grow a business first and then the advanced ways.
Yeah, so I'm known, if anyone checks on me, you'll see that I'm known for a number of things. One is preeminence, which we'll get into, I think.
Yep.
But the 3 way to grow a business, which is the most no-brainer way to use the power of geometry to grow any business you currently or ever have control of, or any P&L profit center. Okay, so everyone goes, oh, there must be a trillion ways to grow a business. There are only 3 primary, and I've got advanced ones. Everything else is a tactic. What are they? You either get more customers, I call them clients, you get larger size sales or transactions that have more profitability each time, or you get more frequent purchases if you have a product or service offering that has frequency, or you get more utility value, means you find other ways to profit and monetize from a sunk cost that has stopped buying. So I have a model here that I want to show you. And basically, we're going to show you a hypothetical business that, are we going to fill it in? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah,
yes.
okay, right. I'm going, I don't understand. So this is so cool. I'm going to show you the power of geometry in an instant. We take a hypothetical company at the top, and it's basically, that's, okay, you did it different. So it's not the normal model, but it's okay. We have 100 buyers, customers, or clients. Each one is buying approximately $100 each time they purchase, and they're buying 1 time a year. That business basically does $10,000, hypothetically. Okay, what happens if you increase those numbers across the board a mere 10%? Okay, okay, that's not what
I'm doubling here because
Okay,
we didn't fill that one out, so I
Okay,
jumped
you
to
did
that.
this for me, so
Yeah.
you do it, because it's
No,
not
well,
the normal.
you know what the numbers are, so let's just talk about it and
Yeah,
then
well, here's the
share
thing.
that.
We normally do a different model, but if you just get a 10% increase in each of those, it's not 10%, it's 33 1/3. And if you have a business that's marginal.
And neither you or I can see it, but you guys can see it at home. It says here, if we come closer to read it, it says that a 10% increase will multiply to 33%.
Yeah,
so
okay.
they have the number.
Good, and so you can fill it in, but here's what's so powerful. A lot of businesses aren't that profitable. You get 33% more, it goes right to the bottom line, because when you say, what's it cost to fill an order? Or what's the cost per sale? They take all their current overhead. You add an extra 33%, that can go to the bottom line. If you double those numbers, and the numbers aren't here properly, but if you double it, it's 800% more revenue. 800%. I can go on, and we've got literally dozens of ways to increase safely, with no extra investment, the number of buyers.
And you can see in the middle of this one that that is the 800, I think, right?
In the middle?
Yeah, that's the 8x, because we're going from 10.
Yeah, you have to,
8.
because I'm not fat. Okay,
That's okay.
But anyhow, the point we're making, and this is because we're not seamless, nobody is, we're imperfect, is that when you bring the power of geometry easily and safely, and I can blow your mind if you say, oh, it's 10% more. Come on, let's use an example, and I might get ahead of myself. Almost every business out there gets some portion or all of their revenue, their sales, from referral or word of mouth. They do. And if you ask, do you have at least one strategically followed, constantly adhered to, formalized referral generating strategy that you and all your team follow to generate the maximum number of referrals from the maximum satisfied ongoing or one-time buyers? Almost nobody has it. Maybe occasionally one. If you say 2, nobody. 3, 0. I've found 125 separate referral generating strategies that have driven massive millions and millions of dollars of ongoing predictable revenue with 0 expense.
I think a lot of those are are they in one of the indexes?
They
right?
are in the
Appendices?
index,
Yeah.
and they're also, part of it is in the book. But here's the thing, a referral generated buyer buys sooner, negotiates less, buys more, is more enjoyable to deal with, buys longer, refers more people, and they cost nothing. I can go on and on. That's only one of many.
They do. Let's talk about a couple of the case studies.
This is pretty darn cool. Okay, It talks about barter. It's a true story because my friend did this. He worked for them. Carnival Cruise, when they first started out, had one secondhand boat that they couldn't even afford to paint. It sounds laughable, but they could only paint it on one side. They had to bring it in on the painted side. Excuse my voice. My friend looked at it, and every week it was going out half empty, not half full, half empty. It had about 400 unsold rooms, and let's take today's rate of $1,000 a room per week. That means every week it was going out, and literally $400,000 were going down the drain. My friend said, let's start trading that unsold usage to radio stations, television stations, magazines, newspapers, for advertising to get cash clients, and we'll give them dollar-denominated credit that they can use on our ship. We only have one to start with, but we'll give them 2 years to use their credit, but we'll use our advertising right now to get cash clients. That was literally the genesis of how they grew in the beginning. ICEOT, great story. ICEOT, we bought it when it was only about $20,000, and it was almost a dead business. It was a mail order business back then, sold for $3. And we didn't have any money to advertise, but we had analyzed what's called the lifetime value. We found out that every time we got 10 people to buy a jar at $3 first time, 8 of them bought almost every month forever, or until somebody came up with a cure for arthritis, bursitis, rheumatism, or they died. And that of the 8 out of 10, 4 would buy at least one other product every month, and of the 4, approximately 2 would buy twice a year in bulk. And the bottom line was, anytime we got the first $3 sale, even though 2 never bought again, every one of those was worth $50 in profit a year to us. Every year they stayed buying or alive. With that knowledge and no marketing budget, I went to 1,000 radio stations, television stations, magazines, all kinds of people, and got them to run ads whenever they had unsold ads. And believe me, most radio, television, newspaper, magazines don't sell every ad they could. And we let them keep all the money, the $3, and we even sent them extra money. And they thought we were crazy, but every time we sent them $3 or $30, we were accruing $500 a year forever. We could have actually given them $250 if we wanted to. We'd still make $250 in year 1, $500 in year 2. The company grew from almost no buyers to 500,000 in the first, I think, 15 months. It had about $150 million of no-cost advertising we didn't pay a penny for. It was a mail order product, but it got so much demand that people went to their groceries, their pharmacies demanding it. So it moved from mail order to a consumer product distributed through retail. That changed its valuation almost 10 times. Today, a retail is not that desirable. E-commerce might be, but back then going from mail order to retail gave it almost a 10-time greater valuation, and it cost nothing. I'll tell you one interesting thing. We sold it for tens of millions of dollars, and here's what was fascinating. They were so linear. They only wanted the product and a non-compete in retail. They didn't want the 500,000 buyers. They didn't want the 1,000 radio stations. We went right behind with another product and did it again.
So smart. So you want to talk about exponential?
Oh, yeah, sure, sorry. So when it comes to exponential, I have identified, by the way, I went back before, we didn't say one thing I want to do really quickly because we respect your time and we promised a certain time we would allocate. We talked about levers and fulcrums. Think about your personal life for a minute, because we don't realize, we take for granted that everything in our life, our personal life, is enhanced, is increased because of levers. Brooms, screwdrivers, light switches, push buttons to open your car, cranks to open your window, pop-top cans, jacks for a car. Those are all levers. In business, you've always had the ability to access an enormous number of levers, but you've never realized they exist. I'm going to give you 9 drivers right now for explosive growth, and this is what they are. You change your marketing, you change your results. You change your strategy, or frankly, become strategic, almost no small, medium business is, you change your results. You change how you use capital, money, people, intellectual capital, relationships, IP, you change your results. You change your business model, you change your results. You change distribution, where you get your business from or how many additional ways. You change your results. You change your products and services. You add more to start a relationship. You add more to get more profit. You add more at the end to get many times greater lifetime value. You change your results. You change how you use relationships. You change your results. You increase your process or systems. You improve them. You get everybody unified. Change your results. Ideology goes to mental model. You believe all the things we're talking about are doable and you do it, you change your results.
Exactly. And if you don't, you don't. There's something that we also like to look at called the Ansoff matrix, which is basically talking about at the top, you can see it's got existing products on the left and new products on the right, and existing markets on the left and new markets on the right. So you can sell the same markets, the same products, only in greater quantity, using a lot of the things that Jay talked about, the 3 ways to grow a business. That's existing products to existing markets. We call that market penetration. And so you're selling more of your existing products to your existing market. The next thing you could do is have new markets that you're selling the same products to, right? That's called market development. So that's we're selling our existing products into new markets. You can also sell the same markets new products. So you have an existing market, you sell them new products. That also is called development, but it's product development instead of market development. You're developing new products to sell to your existing market, or acquiring them, by the way. And then last but not least, you've got new markets and you're selling new products to them. That we call diversification. We're developing or acquiring new things to sell to those markets. And the old way is basically do it yourself, increase ad spend, build and test more stuff, trial and error. Not really the best way to do that. The better way to do it is using some of your strategies that we've got up here with strategic partnerships and strategic acquisitions, which let's talk a little bit about how other people's assets play into all of that.
Yeah, so, I mean, all kinds of companies have all kinds of assets, and assets you think of on a balance sheet, but they've got all kinds of intangible assets that you can utilize on some very inventive way. You can use their media to get more leads and pay them on results. You can actually go to competitors and you can use them if they don't sell all the products or services you do. I've made deals to get access to their unsold leads and made millions.
Yeah, we had a motorcycle helmet company that we were making motorcycle helmets, and we couldn't get distribution, so we went to one of the biggest distributors that had hundreds of distributors selling their parts, but they didn't make helmets, and were able to access that market to sell.
Yeah. It's great, yeah. Teams to scale infrastructure. Whatever you are missing, we have a whole program called, literally, and it's a fascinating one, the Unlimited Business Checkbook. The premise is, whatever you think, I'd say ahead of time, but I should probably tell the story of the motorcycle. Do you want me to?
Sure,
real quick?
yeah.
So it's pretty cool, it's a true story. So I used to do seminars all over the world all the time, and the first one I ever did in China, when we got along with China, and there were some very quality entrepreneurs, was a young man that came to the mic at the end after I taught everything, and he lamented, what do you do if you're too small and the bank won't lend you money to grow? And I said, well, tell me more. He said, I'm a small local motorcycle manufacturer, and only in China, where they have 100 million single city, can you be a local motorcycle manufacturer. Excuse me. And he said, if I got the money, I'd go all over Asia. I'd set up manufacturing. I'd put offices in every country. I'd hire salespeople. I would get distributors and dealers. And I said, okay, what's the problem? He goes, he got mad. He said, I told you that they won't give me money. I said, you don't need money. You just need to figure out whose problem your problem solves that doesn't know they have the problem or opportunity. Go all over Asia, I told him, find somebody in a complementary, not a competitive business, who has underutilized manufacturing capacity, has got offices all over, has sales forces, dealers and distributors, and make a deal. It took me 2 minutes. I came back 15 months later, true story. The guy comes to the mic, he's smiling like the Cheshire Cat. He goes, I did what you said. And I didn't even remember. So I said, what did I say? He told me. What did you do? I went all over Asia. When I got to Kuala Lumpur, which is in Malaysia, I found Asia's largest lawnmower manufacturer. They had a huge factory. It was underutilized. We made a deal. All I had to do was bring what's called the tool and dies, and these are the pieces of metal that form the parts that are assembled to make a product. I had to teach his team. He provided the team. He had all this great equipment, capacity, how to do it. He had offices in 10 countries. He had sales forces everywhere. He had thousands of distributors and dealers. I just had to teach the salespeople how to sell motorcycles and the dealers how to demonstrate and exhibit them. And he said, in our first 15 months together, we both made $20 million profit. That's the kind of power.
And he gave you half of it, which was great.
Yeah, I got a big fee. Okay, this is cool. So Colonial Penn, a lot of people have seen it. It's an insurance company. It was started to do group associations, unions, large companies, and they were not doing well. They were struggling. And after a couple of years, this is so cool, one of the distributors said, we're doing this wrong. If we can't get a client, why don't we create our own? And they created an entity called AARP, the American Association of Retired People, so they would have a client. And over time, they did billions of dollars, billions. Entrepreneur Magazine, this was really cool. I was involved, besides ICEOT, I was involved in the first stages of Entrepreneur Magazine, and we were laughing outside. When we got started, this is showing my age perhaps, we had to send mailing pieces, Roland, that had the Webster's Dictionary definition and phonetic pronunciation, because most people didn't even know how to pronounce ENTREPRENEUR. But anyhow, when I got there, Entrepreneur Magazine wasn't a magazine. It was a membership organization, and the magazine was what they sent every month to the members. And in the middle of it, every month, they would do a 30-page overview of one emerging small business opportunity that was really notable. Tune-up shops, yogurt shops, all kinds of things, most of which are still around. I mean, I can remember the first, I didn't take advantage of Subway when he couldn't get anybody to buy one, and Fantastic Sam's and all those things. But anyhow, we would every month have all these great 30-page overviews, and they would be great. They would tell you the investment, the risk, the kind of franchisors to go to, how to do it yourself, how to hire an attorney. But every month we were done, it would just go into archive. When I got there, we had almost 100 reports that they did nothing with. I took them, I put a little bit of what's called boilerplate, how to hire an attorney or negotiate or get guerrilla marketing. And we sold them for $39 and $49 a piece, and we sold over 300,000 just by reclaiming sunk cost. But then I took them and organized them by category: automotive, low investment, service, and we charged $250 for the collection, and we sold a couple million more.
900% growth, right?
Yeah. In 1 year.
How about home shopping?
So home shopping was a pretty interesting story, and this the same person that was the marketing guy for for the cruise line was also involved with this. So a radio station owner in Florida was going broke, and he couldn't sell advertising, but all these hardware stores would give him, like literally one time he had 1,000 electric can openers, and he didn't know what to do with it. So on the weekends, he started selling these to people as an actual show. And it worked so well that he started buying time on other radio stations because they had unsold time on weekends, evenings. And he ended up with about 30, and then he went on TV, and it ended up being home shopping. But he just did it to basically use unsold time that he could barter for.
And that was sold in 2018 to QVC for $2.1 billion.
Yes.
So not a bad result. Let's talk about relational capital very briefly so we can stay on track.
Yeah,
but
can I tell the real quick story about, not the Rockefeller, but Baron Rothschild?
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a great story, and this tells the whole essence. If you don't use this, shame on you. So years ago, supposedly, somebody wanted to borrow $100,000 for Baron Rothschild, this wealthy man in Europe, and he refused. But he said, I'll do something far, far greater. I will walk hand in hand with you back and forth with my arm around your shoulder across the stock exchange. And once we've done it twice, anybody in the whole room will lend you all the money you want. And the key here is somebody else already has the access, the credibility, the skills, the influence, the distribution channel, the sales force.
Whatever you need
yeah,
but don't
it's
have, right?
anything. This is just a few. We don't go into it, but it's unbelievable. Here's a few benefits of strategic partnerships, power partnerships, joint ventures. You can achieve scale at enormous speed. You can do it with no cost. You can penetrate markets you could never afford or even know how to on your own. You can make your own product development on steroids because other people can put all their resources. Your risk is low because you only pay for results. You can help other companies find greater ways to redeploy or utilize their overhead, their team, their expertise. You can
Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. Onward.
Okay. Because I wanted you to share a little bit
I
about
feel like he's got a hook on me.
this stat is pretty cool.
This is true, yeah. Big corporations grow 20% a year in the number that are doing these. I think that 40% of all the largest companies out there get a huge portion of their revenue now for it. I think Microsoft has 250,000 partnerships on one of their top revenue streams. I can't remember, one of the big management companies bought a company just because of their partnering relationships. In Japan, Spotify, I think, is something like 80% grown by partnerships. Amazon made a partnership with Amex to do a branded card to their business advertisers. Sears built the whole Allstate by letting Allstate have basically kiosks in the old Sears stores where they're able to capitalize on the trust of Sears and all the people that were there, and they would just get a quote and do it. Starbucks moved into banks and groceries. Starbucks and banks moved into groceries. It's a little bit confusing. Movies tied in with reality shows all the time. Mini marts, subways on the highway, McDonald's. So there's 7 big opportunities. Hidden assets that transcend revenue. Nobody sees how valuable they are, like the underused flea market. Or, I'll tell you another hilarious, this is real quick. So in Australia years ago, there were laws that said you couldn't put external advertising on the buildings downtown. Mm-hmm. But there was a clever man that realized there was no law that said you couldn't put advertising on the inside, pointed out.
Right.
So he bought the rights to all the ground floor buildings to put advertising on the windows facing out as you walk by. And when he got enough critical mass, he sold it for a front-end fee and an override to the largest sign company.
That's so cool.
Anyhow, overlooked opportunities, products and services galore. I've done $5,000 3-day trainings just on that number 2. Underperforming activities. There are you think you're doing well. You made a point about being stuck. Believe it or not, you can be very successful growing more every year and by larger numbers than your industry standard and think you're doing very well, but you're actually what I call successfully stuck and don't know it because the time, the effort, the opportunity, the market, the capital and resources you're spending, the human capital could be producing so much more now and so much more in the future, which besides multiplying your income significantly would multiply your outcome, which is what you have at the end. We have watching this a very good friend of mine. He is the world authority on teaching general dentists how to add an implant sub-practice. Why this is important, the average dentist outsources $500,000 of implant surgery a year to different kinds of dentists. Guess what? If you add that to a general practice and you do it yourself, and you can do about 80%, it adds about $250,000 of income, but it makes the practice worth another $150. It's going to be $1.5 million.
That's crazy.
Anyhow.
I love it. And lots of different kinds of alliances too, right?
We can go crazy with all the ways you can do it.
But these are all in the book. We
wanted to give you a
taste.
And these are not simply succinct. We go through masterful explanation, illustration, case study. Yeah, that's why it's 447 pages.
You want to share the Tony partnership?
Yeah, this is pretty cool. When I was in the seminar business, we did $250 million, and we did it by multiplying what I'm going to tell you now. I went to Tony Robbins, who was a client of mine at the time, and he had people that he taught. He taught personal development, and he did something called A Date with Destiny, and he had something called Mastery University. That's all he sold. And I asked him to give me only the people he no longer had any kind of a chance of monetizing because they bought everything at that time he sold. They were no value to him. There was sunk cost. I got him to endorse me because I'd made him millions of dollars, so it was easy for him to do it. He had 20,000 people that had gone through everything. They had nothing else they could monetize for Tony. But I realized that amongst all of them were probably a number of business owners, entrepreneurs, professionals who were doing okay, but they were trying to find something else in their life. But nevertheless, they were business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals in search of something, and they really loved Tony because they bought everything. I got him to endorse me. I paid the cost of a letter. This was before digital. He had 20,000 people. It was 50 cents a piece to send his endorsed letter to his 20,000 people. It generated $9 million of seminar attendees.
Yeah, and I was one of them. And then let's hit on preeminence really quickly, too.
Yeah, preeminence is something, if you look up the strategy preeminence, I haven't for a long time, but the first 10 pages, 80% refers to my work. And it's basically, it's a philosophical strategy, a strategic philosophy that drives everything. It's all about basically being seen as the only viable choice, the most trusted advisor for life, the best value, the best source, the best performing company, people, service. And the difference when you understand how to do it, it's really cool. And I've got a whole section on it in the book, a whole chapter. It will make your business as much as 3 times more successful than anybody close to it. It makes it much more profitable. It makes people stay with you longer, buy more. When you approach it properly, and the key is you don't just fall in love with your business, your industry, your product or service. You fall in love with the people you serve, and you see your product or service, what it's like when it's deployed in their life. Just like Roland and I see when you basically start using this book and start acquiring businesses, start multiplying your income, start using that to secure a much happier, wealthier, more proactive and certain future, what it can be like. And you can see the companies that are preeminent and the ones that aren't, they're not also RANs, but if you look at the performance metrics of these, the loyalty of these, the profitability of these compared to the ones that are not preeminent, it's profound. And we teach you how to very quickly restructure your mindset, your motives, so you see who you stand for, what you stand for, why you stand for, and how to express what's really been there and how to really be seen as the only viable choice anybody could make.
And it's no coincidence, I think, that if you look at some of the founders of those companies, they're some of the most wealthy families and individuals in the world today.
Yes.
So there is something to be said for that. Again, the success that we have is proof we can do this successfully, but obviously the real proof is all of the people that we have taught and helped to do this. There's several great case studies. Schlitz went from the 9th best-selling beer to the 1st in 6 months using a preemptive marketing
We explain
strategy.
exactly how they did it step by step.
Yeah. HSN we already talked about. And we cover all of this stuff in part 2 of the book. But if you would like more without having to pay millions to consulting firms like McKinsey and Bain and Boston Consulting Group, with no guarantee of success, by the way, or incurring media and staff and all of the related expenses of about $100 million that Jay and I have paid our staffs and company staffs over the years to do this, or losing years of potential sales and profit growth while you're testing strategies, trying to figure this stuff out, well, here's what we've got for you. We've got the Business Wealth Without Risk Exponential Profits playbooks based on the things that Jay just told you about. So if you want to escape the painful cycle of always worrying, how am I going to find the money to pay the next round of business bills, but maybe your business is successful enough that that's not a thing for you, but while also paying yourself what you want from the business and having enough to invest in growth, or you've always dreamed of having your business work for you instead of the other way around where you're working for it, or you'd like to finally be able to grow your business team to the size and capability that you need to take the vacation that you know that you need to take so bad, but you haven't been able to. Or you already have a profitable business, but you're still stuck at 6, 7, 8, or 9 figures, and you're ready to break through that barrier, or you've acquired one or more businesses and you want to radically increase their cash flow and value quickly, but without having to invest a lot of additional cash to make it happen, then this is for you. And this is the exponential profit system. So this is basically covering moonshots, the mental models, all of the optimization playbook with where Jay talks about levers and fulcrums, the exponential drivers playbook, the relational capital playbook, and the preeminence playbook. So the complete playbooks for each of those things, that's something that we value at $1,750. So you get all of this, the $0 acquisition mastery system, the optimization playbook, exponential growth, relational capital, and preeminence, that's a $3,250 value, which brings us to part 3. Now we're going to talk about how to create a lifetime of wealth every 3 to 5 years, and that's primarily through buying, building, and exiting. And we've covered buying, we've covered building, now we're going to talk about exiting, where you can cash out with an exit every 3 to 5 years. And so what this is that you're looking at right now is a study of assuming that you have a business that's making $500,000 a year in EBITDA, which is profit, that's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, fancy word for profit. And you hold on to that business for 16 years. Over that period of time, you would have earned $13.9 million, assuming that it's growing at a 7% compound rate during that time. You would also be able to exit it at about a 7x value. That puts your total take over the 16 years at $23.6 million. If instead, each 3, 4, 5 years, you were to sell the business and buy another one and grow that and sell that, then you would have significantly more money. Over that period of time, you would have $36.2 million in income and $37.8 million at exit. And the only difference is that we're selling every 4 or 5 years. And why that makes such a difference is because if we sold 4 times at a multiple of 7, 4 times 7, that means there's 28 years of extra, almost a generation of extra income that you're getting that the person that holds the business does not.
Yeah, and that, pardon my voice, that presumes you don't blow up both the size of the revenue and, more importantly, the size of the profitability.
Yeah, very conservative growth numbers here.
Yeah, but if you do that, it raises you to a higher multiple.
Hugely, yes.
Yeah.
So the difference just in holding is $23.6 million versus $74 million if you do the exit. That's going to get you over just about a decade and a half, 3.14 times more money, right?
And please, we're powering through this, but 447 no-nonsense, non-theoretical, very simple explanations make all this so clear that it will not seem daunting, it will just seem motivating.
Yeah, and we've done this over and over and over. For example, we exited Praxio, a software company, Traffic and Conversion Summit, an event company, Recess, another software company, Platter, a business-to-business services company, Coleman Filter, which was a filter manufacturing company, True Conversion, which was a software company, and Survival Life, which was an e-commerce company. Those 7 exits were the result of just one initial company that we still own, that's still spinning off exits, and that company is Digital Marketer. So what is our core exit strategy? We're going to buy in what we call the blue and green boxes and then go to sell in the red and gold boxes. So let's look at how businesses sell. Typically they sell for a multiple of profits, and the profits might be slightly different in how they're defined based on whether the company is owner operated, meaning that if the owner goes away, then the business basically suffers and falters. Those businesses typically sell for about 2.2 times profit. But a professionally managed company sells for more. They typically sell for about 4 times profit. If you get a professionally managed company up to over about $2 million a year in profit and 10 million-ish in sales, then private equity comes in, and this number is, these are all the current numbers, by the way, across all industries. This number of 10.2 is down 33% from where it was just about a quarter ago. It was at 15 point something, right? So, but still significant increase. And then when they go public, we're looking at NASDAQ, where we look at PE ratios, which are averaging somewhere between 18 and 23 right now, depending on the day. Pretty wide swings right now. But so we're looking to buy in the boxes that are blue and green, and then do the things that Jay was talking about and that I'm talking about to grow the businesses so that we can sell them in the red and gold boxes. So strategy number 1 would be buy blue at 2x, professionalize it to a green company, that's just adding professional management, and you can sell a green at 4x. That means you double your wealth. And a couple of examples for us, we increased a live event company by 153 times using
Wow.
these strategies over a 5-year period prior to an exit to a private equity buyer. We had a publishing company, we increased the value by 105 times over 3 years, and the exit valuation multiple from a 2 to 8, along with what you were saying, that the more valuable the company is, the more income it has, the more valuable it is. Strategy 2 would be to buy green, a professionalized company, and then grow it using the exponential growth strategies Jay talked about to a red box company, right? We can sell at 10. We buy at 4, we sell at 10, we've 2.5x'd our wealth. A good example here would be an e-commerce company where we increased sales from 1.2 million to 34 million over 4 years and exited to a PE company. Or an educational business where we increased the multiple from 6 to 11.2 over just 8 months. Or a B2B services company and licensing business where we increased sales 2.5 times and profits 5.3 times in less than 12 months, and the exit valuation increased from 2.2 million to 5.6 million. Strategy 3 would be that we're buying in the blue box, that's the owner-operated box. We're professionalizing it, going to the green box, and doing the exponential growth. So we're going from blue to red. Now we're going from a 2x to a 10x. We've 5x'd our wealth, right? So a business services company example, we increased sales 2.8 times and EBITDA by 3.2 times over 24 months. We increased the exit value from a 6x to a 14.3 with a strategic buyer. Or an e-learning company where we increased the EBITDA or profit by 8x and the valuation at exit to a strategic buyer by 15x over a 5-year period. Or a software as a service company where we increased the exit value the exit offer from a strategic buyer from a $38 million inbound offer to a final of $71 million over 7 months. Long negotiation, worth the time. Or a real estate services company where we increased the value from $14 million to $32 million during 3 months of exit negotiations to a strategic buyer. Or a tech business where we increased the value by 50% from 12 million to 18 million during a 4-month negotiation process with a PE buyer. Strategy 4, we buy in the blue box and we go all the way to selling in the gold box. That's from a 2x to a 22x. That is, it's actually 11, but 10 times your wealth. 10 times your wealth. It's like Tesla did. Just to give you some examples of companies you might be familiar with to see that this happens in the big boy world too, right? Tesla, initial valuation when it was first financed, $7.5 million in 2004 to an IPO valuation of $2.28 billion in 2010. That just took 6 years. It's worth a heck of a lot more now, right? Netflix, initial valuation at first financing, $82 million in 1999 to an IPO of $1.2 billion in 2002, only 3 years. Amazon, initial valuation at first financing at $1.5 million in 95 to IPO in 97 of $438 million, just 2 years. And on and on and on, right? When you run these playbooks, you could create a lifetime of income and wealth every 3 to 5 years. And again, our success is proof we know how to do this, but the real proof is in the pudding of how other people do, like Lee or Anthony or other people that we are sharing with you. And we cover all of this in part 3 of the book, okay? But if you'd like more without missing out on an $800 million exit, like I did, without 10,000 hours of investment banking work, like I've done, without paying an $18 million dumb tax, I think we've paid a lot more than that.
Yes, we have.
Without building a business that you can't actually sell, we've both done that. Without being forbidden to work because you've got a non-compete because you were the business, and without overpaying income taxes by 30% or more, which I think we're both way ahead on that as well, then here's what we have for you. And that's the Exit Impact Masterclass. So if you want to be able to sell your business for the absolute maximum price, or you're sick and tired of what you've been doing in your current business and you're ready to cash out and maybe do something fun and interesting that you actually love, or you want to take some chips off the table. Keep your current business. You want to stay there, but take some chips off the table, sell part of it for a significant amount of cash, or you want to acquire businesses for no money out of pocket, grow them exponentially, increase their value, and then cash out with generational wealth, then this is for you. That's the Exit Impact Masterclass. So we have all kinds of training in there, a deal buyer database, due diligence checklists, attorney-led business structure workshops to structure the business right, attorney-led LOI workshops so you get your LOIs, buyer sourcing and selling network membership, and all kinds of deals broken down. We value that at $1,000 for those 2 programs. The total then of everything we've got, the $0 acquisition program, the optimization playbooks that Jay talked about, and the exit training is $4,250. But we are not done yet, because you also get some other things we think you need. You need to know how to deal structure, right? So we have a deal structuring masterclass that's added in, $500 value. We take that to $4,750. And the cherry on top is you also get our $100 million wealth blueprint. It is our belief that anyone can create a net worth of $100 million or more. It takes typically 4 to 5 years to execute if you execute perfectly. It might take longer if you don't, but 1 million, 10 million, 100 million is all within the grasp, I believe, and I think you do too, of anybody that's watching this.
Yeah, we've done it. And I mean, I didn't give you the litany of all the famous clients and experts I've helped around the world, but you're also going to get my $100, my $1,000 recession-proofing your business book. You're going to get the Tom Sawyer. It'll be ready in about a week and a half.
You can't tell them all the surprises. We want them to be surprised and delighted.
Sorry
That's part of our plan, right?
Sorry.
But we do have lots of interesting, cool surprises that you will get. So this system and these playbooks, they provide more value than many of the training and mastermind programs that we see other people selling for $25,000, $100,000, even $250,000. I don't know how they do it, because those several of those sellers, I'm not talking bad about anybody specifically, but I can tell you, I've seen a lot of people that have had a fraction of this success, that have never done the things that we're talking about here, and sometimes have never even done the things that they say they're doing, let alone having a proven track record, right? You've seen that for me and Jay, this has generated $250 million from just one deal in seminars, plus $100 billion in increased sales for all of our clients and customers, and a portfolio that's generating $6.3 billion in sales volume now. Our investment to learn all the stuff that we're sharing with you is kind of hard to imagine.
Yes.
Right? I mentioned I lost $800 million from one deal. I mentioned that there's $2 billion plus in combined ad spend that's gone into educating us between our businesses and our clients. 80 plus years of experience. And if you're qualified to have us both consult with you, which a lot of people don't, but for those who did, the investment for a single day would cost $200,000. So if we ask you to invest $10,000 to access this, it would be an absolute bargain, right? But before I tell you what your investment's going to be to get the whole system, I've got one question for you. What difference would it make in your life if you could acquire profitable businesses at will? If you could decide how much you want to grow your business and then acquire a business that instantly hits that goal? What would it mean if you could use this to solve any business issue with no cash and no liability? What if you could get more customers, limitless leads, proven performers, solid systems, cash flow, LCVs that are higher, more profits, richer margins, better products, irresistible offers? Or if you could consistently buy a business and then grow it exponentially and then sell it for double, remember our playbooks, triple, 5x, 10x its original value every 3 to 5 years, over and over, like clockwork. And what if you knew that if you just follow this system and you implement these playbooks, that you could simply not fail to create lasting income and wealth? Would it be worth $10,000? How about 100? Would it be worth, if you could create wealth and income at will, would it be worth the $1 million per year that our top clients pay us now to do this for them, right? Because it definitely was for Tom, for Matt, for Leslie, for Steve, for Jesse. The simple truth is that what we share in this system has already created over $100 billion of combined sales increases and value for the thousands of clients and customers around the world that we have, which is why we have no doubt that this program is worth every penny of its $5,400 value, and a whole lot more than that. And it's an absolute steal at that price. But we talked, and we're not going to ask you to invest $5,400 to have this change your business life forever, because we want to make this absolutely irresistible, and an investment of $3,995 we figured would be insanely attractive.
Insanely
attractive.
That's right.
Because if all this did for you was to finally give you the strategies and tactics to propel your business from where it is right now to more than 10 times greater in sales and profits, like it did for us decades ago and has again and again, or if it simply helps you to break through the artificial cap that's currently stopping you from realizing your true potential income and wealth goals, like it did for us.
It did.
Or if the only benefit that you received from this was that your own business is making $100,000, $1 million, $10 million or more every single month, month after month. And remember, we have between us a portfolio of profitable businesses that generate $500 million a per month in total sales volume. Or if it helped you sell a business that you've already got and you were able to sell it for 2 or 5 or 10 times or more than you ever thought possible. Enough to make it easy to retire if you really wanted to. I don't think either of us is ever going to go do that.
I don't either.
Like we've done over and over, not retire, but sell the businesses. Then wouldn't it be worth a $3,995 investment? Wouldn't it actually be worth way more than that? But you're not going to have to invest $39.95 to get this today, because we know that $19.95 would make this a no-brainer decision for you, right?
No-brainer.
Because we know that one competitor acquisition, one acquisition of a media asset, one doubling of your profit margin, one new optimization, one exponential driver, one relational capital connection, or one doubling of exit value would make that $1,995, that investment, be the best business deal that you ever made, your single highest returning investment.
And Roland,
yes.
Or one shift in your career trajectory.
Exactly. It changes the whole life. I mean, it really can. We get people that message us all the time saying this has changed their lives.
Yeah.
Even people who said they were on the brink of suicide and didn't know where to turn until they found they had options that they didn't realize they had. That's something that gives me chills when I read those messages, right?
You know, I was doing a podcast about this, and I was talking to Jeffrey Gittimer, who has a lot of salespeople.
Yep.
And we said, these people can make so much money for their companies, but at the end, besides their 401k
What's
and their,
there for them?
Yeah, what do they have? This way you have wealth. And I'm sorry, my voice is going. You talk about an epic exit and monster paydays. I just like a graphic imagery.
I love it. If you did that, then you know that it would ROI in days or weeks or maybe a few months, and then it's going to continue to compound infinitely, because once you have the system and use it, it never stops creating new income streams and new wealth. That's what it did for Tom Shipley, who created a $100 million funded fund from a PE company as a result of these strategies. It helped the Creans build and acquire a $250 million satellite company. It was able to help Jalitza increase her business to $10 million. It was able to help Kent add a $20 million business expansion to his business, and Cole to have an 8-figure exit to a strategic buyer. And by the way, after they messed it up, then buy it back for a few $100,000. The fact is, there's no single investment that you could make that could generate a higher return, because the ROI on this investment is infinite. Yeah. And once you master this wisdom, you cannot unsee it,
yes.
right? It's going to be with you forever, and nobody can ever take it away from you. Unlike your $1,995, you cannot lose this. Once you have it, it can create as much income and as much wealth as you want it to. So you got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? No. Which is worth more to you right now, that $1,995 or perpetual freedom and perpetual financial and personal freedom for you and your family, because this has allowed both of us to live our dream lives. We can travel the world, we own our own dream homes, we fly private, we support our favorite charities, our children's lives are better, we've got the best health care, we can pursue our hobbies and our passions. And
don't forget, we have more fun.
And we have our family set for life and have fun,
we have
right?
fun.
So we thought about making this available for as little as $9.95, but we know that free has no value. Right? You've got to have skin in the game, or you're not going to value this. To truly appreciate the value of anything, you've got to have skin in the game. So we were asking ourselves, what is the ideal investment that you guys need to make so that you're going to actually use this ridiculously valuable technology and not let it just sit on the shelf, gathering virtual dust? And we said already that you're not going to have to invest $5,400, even though that would be an amazing value.
Yeah.
And we said that you won't have to invest $39.95, even though our private clients pay almost 50 times that for a single day with us. And even though you would be missing out on an incredible investment at $19.95, we're not even going to ask you to invest that amount. Not even going to ask you to invest the $995, because today you can access all of this for the preposterously low investment of $20. 20 American dollars, okay? That is less than it costs to buy this blender, this egg cooker, or this super cool, amazing thing I never knew even existed, a tooth ornament kit. How great is that? right?
Oh, geez.
You get all of that when you invest in the Business Wealth Without Risk system for just $19.99 for the paperback edition right now. And one more thing. Today, you can actually get one format of Business Wealth Without Risk for only 99 cents on Amazon if you do it now. The whole system plus the playbooks are on the Business Wealth Without Risk resources page online, and the link is in the book, okay? There's no opt-in required. You don't have to give us your email so that we can chase you around forever. If you would like for us to share things with you, you certainly can. There's, I'm sure, a place there you can do that, but it's not required to take advantage of this. And also, I mentioned as a special bonus for a limited time, our partner Prime Corporate Services, which is one of our portfolio companies, will set up your SPV for you to do your deals. And all you have to do is cover the government cost. That's a $2,000 extra value. All you have to do is buy the book, scan the resource page, QR code or link that's listed in the book, and then most of your bonuses are going to be there live right now, immediately after this event. The rest will be there by the end of the week, and that's because we have been recording and working tirelessly to get all of this stuff together for you.
Tirelessly,
So
yes.
why the heck are we doing this? Well, first, we want to pay it forward for all the success that we have both enjoyed. And if you've received value from what we've shared and given today, please give us a yes in the chat. It makes us feel good. Just type yes. It means a lot to us. We really, really appreciate that, okay? And the second reason that we're doing this is that we want to partner or invest with some of you who qualify to personally help you acquire, exponentially grow, and or exit the businesses that you've got. So if you own a business that over the last 12 months has earned $1 million or more in profit, and you'd like to partner with us to help you with these acquisitions, exponential growth, and or an exit, then let's talk. We're currently seeking a few businesses to partner with that we can help grow and scale and exit. And whether you would like to order the book or partner with us, or both, it all starts with a visit to businesswealthwithout.risk.com. Businesswealthwithout.risk.com, that's the website. That's where you can buy the book and get instant access to the system, the master classes, and the playbook. And here's a fun fact. If you truly want to get the most out of the book, buy both the print and audio copy. Lifehacker had this to say: it combines listening to both, listening while you're reading, combines two senses so you end up with really good comprehension while being really efficient at the same time. And even more important, it keeps you going so you get through it. So you're not going back, rereading things, you're not getting distracted every couple of minutes. If you'd really like to help us spread the word and pay it forward, then buy 5 copies and share 4 with friends. You can get a copy today for as little as 99 cents. So keep in mind, for less than $5, you could buy one and share 4 more to help somebody else. So go to Amazon right now, order 1 or 5 or more, use the link below now, that's businesswealthwithout.risk.com. Do it so you don't forget, or you can scan the QR code that you see on the screen right now. Just take out your phone, open the camera, point it at that, and click on the link. It'll take you straight to the ability to buy the book, okay? Here's the thing, like if you're wondering who you could share this with, basically your spouse, your partner, your prospects, advisors, your kids, your friends, your family, your customers, create your own book club to consume Business Wealth Without Risk. Share it with people that you know, like, and trust. Consultants, co-owners, employees, your board, your clients. Lots of places you could do that. Please pay it forward. Order at least 5 copies and share. We've made it incredibly, and I mean the use of incredibly, actually there, I can't believe it, right, low investment to do that. Books are available now. They're live at Amazon at the link businesswealthwithout.risk.com. All of the Business Wealth Without Risk system bonuses are accessed via the link to the resource page in the book. So there are a few other bonuses that we will be emailing to you as a result of coming here today, and I'll talk about some of the things that we're giving for you in a second. But when will you receive them? Any of the special bonuses that you're going to get for being here today will be sent to the email that you used to register for this event. You will not receive your digital bonuses if you used another email address that you're expecting them to come to. So they're not going to be at any email address other than the one you registered with. So please don't ask us where your stuff is until you check that email and the spam folder that's attached to it, okay? Once you've ordered the books, if you'd like to see if it's a fit for us to work together, go back to businesswealthwithout.risk.com and click the link at the top of the page that says, want to do a deal together. You can see it right here. So click the Start Application button. You can see it says, want to do a deal together, right? and then fill out the questionnaire. Click the buttons and answer the questions that apply to you. I'm a business owner, I'm an advisor, I want to buy a business. And then when you're done filling everything out, click the submit button and we will be back in touch within about a week. Remember also that we promised you an exclusive bonus, and we've gone over by about 30 minutes here, that would be only available if you were here live today and stayed to the end. Here's the deal. So to help you grow your business as fast as possible and as an exclusive live launch business, we're going to give you hundreds more ways to explode your growth with our 4-volume Wicked Smart set, which is a curated collection of the best proven growth strategies from over a decade of meetings of our $40,000 mastermind. It's currently not available for sale. We do sell it from time to time, but only for $297. There are more bonuses that Jay was hinting at that you will get as well. All of those will be available. Do you want to talk about any one of those right now that you're thinking about?
Well, I think that if you have this very expanded, but not just abstract, but we call it CAT scan mindset, where you see it from every vantage point, every leverage point, every impact point, every opportunity point. You've got the one thing everybody needs in life. I believe in business, what you want more than anything else is to command and demand always, pardon my voice, absolute ethical advantage. Why? Because if you don't have advantage, what do you have, Roland?
You don't have an advantage.
You have disadvantage. So I want to give you a way of looking at everything, and seeing opportunity nobody else does.
I love
and
that.
seeing profit possibilities that are real no one else does. If I can make, and excuse my voice, I'm so sorry. So it's very important to know that we really walk our talk. We decided when we created this that the vast majority of you, this was a contribution. You'll be able to use this and it'll change forever. The economic future, the assets that you amass, the control you have over your prosperity, it'll change everything about where you are to where you want to be, how you use your ability, your most valuable resource, time, opportunity. But we are really doing this because we know we'll help a lot of people transform. We know a lot of you own a business and will be able to take it to such a greater, at such a more valuable, such a more prosperous level. But we also know that some of you will be able to be so rocked because you'll see so much there and you'll want someone like us to do it for you, or you'll know somebody, and that's the big play we're after. That's really why we made this book so comprehensive, so rich with content, so actionable that it's not at all intellectual entertainment. It will rock your boat. It will shift forever how you see your opportunities in life, and that's a commitment and a promise from both of us.
It is. And the only way to get all of this is by being here today. So everybody that didn't make it to this point is missing out, but not you, okay? So here's all the business building, income generating, wealth creating tools that you are going to get for free just for being here today. All of them are on the screen. We've talked about them, and we can't wait for you guys, as Jay said, to be part of, we can't wait for us to be a part of your success story, right? So as a special surprise, we also have a few extra bonuses you'll also be receiving at the email you registered with. Look for those over the next week or so. I can't tell you what they are all right now because we're still deciding and working on it too.
That's right,
so we would like for you to be one of our success stories as well. Go to Amazon now and get your books at businesswealthwithout.risk.com. Thank you guys for being here today. With our greatest sincere thanks.
Thank you.
Our book is available. Thank you for being such a great business partner, and we will see you guys hopefully in the future and an application to work with us.
Thank you.
Business Wealth Without Risk. Thank you guys. So what I skipped was this.
Yeah.